Captain Jack Reynolds stood tall as the massive doors of the Stellar Confederation's Grand Hall slid open. The room beyond was filled with light that bounced off polished surfaces. Aliens of many shapes and sizes turned to look at the human delegation. Some whispered to each other. Others simply stared. "Remember," Jack said quietly to his team, "we're here to make friends, not enemies." Dr. Jane Wilson nodded. As Earth's lead scientist, she was excited yet nervous. The aliens had technologies humans had only dreamed about. "Let's hope they're in a sharing mood," she whispered back. At the far end of the hall, a tall, blue-skinned alien rose from an ornate chair. This was Lord Val, the Confederation's ambassador. His 4 eyes blinked in sequence as he spread his arms in what looked like a welcoming gesture. "The representatives of Earth," Lord Val announced, his voice carrying easily through the hall. "We welcome you to the Stellar Confederation, young ones." Jack noticed the slight pause before young ones, and the small smiles on several alien faces. They were being talked down to. But that was expected. Earth was new to the galactic community, having only achieved faster-than-light travel 15 years ago. "We thank you for your welcome," Jack replied with a practiced bow. "Earth is honored to be considered for alliance with the Stellar Confederation." Lord Val's top pair of eyes narrowed slightly. "Considered, yes. All species must prove their worth to join our ranks, but we are not unkind to newcomers." He gestured to an aide who stepped forward with a small crystal tablet. "We offer a gift to demonstrate our generosity." Jack accepted the tablet. On its surface glowed the image of a spacecraft. It was big, much bigger than anything Earth had built so far. "This vessel currently rests in your planet's orbit," Lord Val continued. "It is yours now, a small token to help your species catch up." Several aliens in the hall made sounds that Jack's translator didn't catch, but they sounded like laughter. "This is unexpected," Jack said carefully. "Free ships weren't exactly common gifts. Something felt off. Earth thanks you for your generosity. We expect you will find it educational," Lord Val said with a smile that didn't reach any of his 4 eyes. 3 hours later, Jack, Jane, and their team stood in a shuttle approaching the gift. Up close, the ship was even larger than it had appeared in the image, nearly half a kilometer long with an odd, almost shell-like shape. "What do we know about it so far?" Jack asked. Tom Baker, the team's navigation specialist, looked up from his datapad. "It's called the Dawn Seeker in their language. Records show it's about 120 years old. It was some kind of patrol vessel." 120 years. Jane frowned. "That's ancient by their standards. Their tech advances nearly twice as fast as ours." Jack stared at the ship through the shuttle window. The hull showed patches of darker material where repairs had been made. Several sections looked worn out. "So they've given us their junk," he said flatly. Emma Gray, weapons specialist, snorted. "Looks that way, Captain. Nice of them to gift us their trash." The shuttle docked with the larger vessel. When the team entered, the air smelled stale but breathable. Emergency lights provided dim illumination along the corridors. "Power systems are running at minimal capacity," reported Mac Foster, chief engineer, as he scanned the walls with a handheld device. "This thing's barely alive." They made their way to what looked like a bridge. Dust covered the control panels. Strange, chair-like structures were arranged in a semicircle facing a large, dark view screen. Jane ran her fingers over one console, leaving trails in the dust. "They didn't even clean it for us." Jack tapped a sequence on his communicator. "Reynolds to Earth Command. Admiral Wilson, are you receiving?" After a brief delay, a gruff voice responded. "Wilson here. What have our new friends given us, Captain?" "A museum piece, sir. An outdated patrol ship that's seen better days, about 120 years old by their count." There was a long pause before Admiral Wilson responded. "I see. That matches the initial scans we've been running from Earth. The tech is generations behind their current capabilities." "It's an insult," Emma said, not bothering to hide her anger. Maybe, Jack replied, or a test. The team spread out, examining different sections of the bridge. Mac managed to activate several systems, and the main view screen flickered to life, showing the curve of Earth below them. "Sir," Jack said to the Admiral, "request permission to thoroughly inspect this vessel before making any diplomatic response. There may be more to this than we're seeing." "Agreed, Captain. I'll stall our official response." The Admiral's voice hardened. "But preliminary assessment." Jack looked around at the dusty, outdated bridge. "They handed us their garbage and called it a gift. I think they want to see if we'll realize it or thank them for the scraps." "Then let's not give them the reaction they're expecting," Wilson replied. "I'm assigning your team to this ship, Captain. Find out everything about it. If it has any value at all. I want to know." "Yes, sir." After signing off, Jack turned to his team. "All right, people. New assignment. We're going to take this ship apart system by system. Jane, I want to know what materials they used, and if anything can be salvaged. Mac, full engineering assessment. Emma, find out what weapons, if any, this thing carried. Tom, get navigation and propulsion figured out. And what will you tell the aliens when they ask how we like their gift?" Jane asked. Jack smiled for the first time since entering the ship. "I'll tell them we're overwhelmed by their generosity, of course." His smile faded. "Meanwhile, we'll find out what this heap is really good for." 2 days later, Jack stood in Admiral Wilson's office back on Earth. The older man looked tired but interested as Jack delivered his team's preliminary report. "It's garbage, sir, but interesting garbage," Jack explained. "The power systems are deliberately limited. There are signs that someone modified them to perform below their potential. The weapons are outdated but could be upgraded. The hull material has properties we haven't seen before." Admiral Wilson leaned forward. "So not completely useless?" "No, sir. In fact, Mac thinks there's a lot we could learn from it. And maybe more than learn." "Go on. What if we don't just study it? What if we rebuild it? Not to their specifications, but to ours. Combine their tech with our ideas." Jack's eyes lit up. "They expect us to either complain about the gift or struggle with technology we don't understand. What if instead we transform it?" Admiral Wilson was quiet for a long moment. Then he smiled slowly. "Make something out of nothing. Show them what humans do best." "Exactly, sir. How long would you need?" "Mac estimates 6 months for basic improvements. A year to really overhaul it." The Admiral stood and walked to the window, looking up at the sky. "You have 6 months, Captain. Pull whatever resources and personnel you need. I want that junker turned into something that will make the Confederation rethink their opinion of humans." Jack saluted. "Yes, sir. We'll make it happen." As he left the office, Jack felt a surge of determination. The aliens thought they were clever, handing Earth a useless vessel. They had no idea what humans could do with a challenge. Soon, they would learn. 3 months passed quickly aboard the old alien ship. What had once been a quiet, dusty vessel now buzzed with activity. Hundreds of Earth's best engineers, scientists, and space workers moved through its halls. The humans had given it a new name: Phoenix. Mac Foster wiped sweat from his forehead as he stared at the glowing diagrams floating above his workstation. As chief engineer, he had spent countless hours trying to understand the ship's power systems. "This doesn't make any sense," he muttered. Jane Wilson looked up from her own work nearby. "What doesn't?" Mac pointed at the complex web of energy pathways. "These power conduits. Look at how they're arranged." Jane moved closer, her eyes narrowing as she studied the diagram. "They double back on themselves in several places." "Exactly. It's inefficient by design." Mac's voice rose with excitement. "This ship wasn't just old when they gave it to us. Someone deliberately made it perform worse than it should." Jane's eyes widened. "You think they sabotaged it before giving it to us?" "I'd bet my life on it." Mac manipulated the diagram, highlighting several sections. If we reroute these connections and remove these limiters here and here, we could increase power output by at least 40%. A slow smile spread across Jane's face. They didn't just give us junk. They gave us a puzzle. A puzzle designed to make us fail, Mac agreed. But they don't know humans very well, do they? On the lower decks, Emma Gray stood in what had once been the ship's main weapons control room. The walls were lined with strange, oval-shaped stations that the translation programs identified as targeting systems. "Try it now, Tom," she called out. At the other end of the room, Tom Baker tapped a sequence into his tablet. One of the oval stations hummed to life, projecting a three-dimensional star map into the air. "It works," Tom grinned, though the response time is still too slow. Emma walked around the projection, studying it from all angles. The hardware is actually pretty good. It's the programming that's holding it back. She reached into the projection, her fingers manipulating the stars and planets. They're targeting protocol checks and double-checks everything before firing. Safe, but slow. "Can we fix it?" Tom asked. Emma nodded confidently. "We can replace their targeting software with our own. Combine their superior sensors with human combat algorithms. The aliens won't expect that," Tom said. "They'll think we're stuck with their outdated systems." "That's exactly what we want them to think." Emma's eyes gleamed with determination. "While they're underestimating us, we'll be rebuilding this ship into something they won't recognize." Captain Jack Reynolds stood in the newly renovated bridge of the Phoenix. Gone were the dust and dim lighting. Now sleek consoles lined the walls, combining alien technology with human design. The strange alien chairs had been replaced with seats better suited for human bodies. Admiral Wilson's hologram floated in the center of the bridge, looking around with approval. "Progress report, Captain." "Better than expected, sir," Jack replied. "Mac has increased power efficiency by 50% already. Emma and Tom have completely overhauled the weapons targeting systems, and Jane has made a breakthrough with the hull material." The Admiral raised his eyebrows. "Tell me about that last one." Jack gestured, and Jane stepped forward. "The hull is made of a material we've never seen before," she explained. "It's currently brittle in certain sections, which is why the ship looks so beat up. But we discovered something interesting." She held up what looked like a small piece of metal. "When we apply our carbon-based treatments to it, the material becomes incredibly resilient, 3 times stronger than our best hull plating." "Can you treat the entire hull?" Admiral Wilson asked. Jane nodded. "We've already started on the critical sections. Within a month, this old ship will have better armor than any vessel in Earth's fleet." The Admiral smiled. "Excellent work, all of you. And what about our friends in the Confederation? Have they been checking up on their gift?" "Lord Val sent a message last week," Jack said. "Asked how we were managing with the vessel. I told him we were still learning to operate the advanced systems. He seemed quite pleased with himself." "Good. Let them think we're struggling." The Admiral's expression grew serious. "How soon before the Phoenix is ready for a real test?" Mac stepped forward. "We need another 2 months, sir. We're installing hybrid systems that combine their tech with ours. It's never been done before, so we're being careful." 2 months it is," the Admiral agreed. "Keep me updated, and remember, everything about the Phoenix is classified. As far as the Confederation knows, we're just trying to get their old ship to fly straight." After the Admiral's hologram vanished, Jack turned to his team. "Let's get back to work. I want this ship to exceed even our expectations." Late that night, Mac sat alone in the Phoenix's engine room. Most of the crew had gone to sleep, but he couldn't rest. Something about the ship's design kept bothering him. He brought up the original schematics again, comparing them to the modifications his team had made. The aliens had built limitation into every system: power, weapons, shields, even life support. It was as if. Mac sat up straight as realization hit him. They were afraid of this ship, he whispered to himself. He quickly called up more data, checking his theory. The Phoenix was old, Yes, but its basic design was incredibly adaptable. With the right modifications, the kind his team was already making, it could become far more powerful than its original creators had intended. Had the Confederation known this when they gave the ship to humans? Did they think humans wouldn't discover the ship's true potential? Max smiled as he shut down his workstation. If they thought humans would fail to see what they had been given, they were in for a surprise. His team wasn't just fixing the old ship, they were transforming it into something new. In his mind, he could already see the finished Phoenix, a perfect blend of alien technology and human ingenuity. The Confederation had handed them a vessel they thought was useless. Humans would make it invincible. The next morning, Jane called an urgent meeting. Her team had been analyzing the ship's communication systems when they discovered something unexpected. There's a hidden tracker embedded in the main communication array, she explained, showing the team a small pulsing dot on her screen. It's been sending regular updates to somewhere in Confederation space. They've been spying on us, Emma asked, anger clear in her voice. Monitoring their gift. More likely, Jack said. Can we disable it? Jane smiled. Already did. Better yet, I've set it to transmit false data. As far as they know, we're making minimal progress and staying well within the ship's original design parameters. Perfect. Jack nodded. Let them think their plan is working. Meanwhile, we'll continue making the Phoenix into something they never imagined. And when they find out? Tom asked. Jack's expression hardened. By then, it'll be too late for them to do anything about it. The Phoenix will fly, and the Confederation will learn an important lesson about underestimating humans. The team looked at each other, united in purpose. The work ahead would be difficult, but the reward would be worth it. A ship transformed from trash to treasure, and the look on Lord Val's face when he realized what humans had accomplished. The Phoenix would rise, just as its name promised. 6 months after receiving the gift from the Stellar Confederation, the Phoenix looked much the same on the outside. Its hull still bore the scars and patches of an aging vessel, but inside it was transformed. Captain Jack Reynolds sat in the commander's chair on the bridge, watching his crew run final system checks. The new seats, designed for human bodies, were just one of hundreds of changes they had made. All systems green, Captain, reported Tom from the navigation station. The new hybrid engines are running at 95% efficiency. Weapon systems online and calibrated, Emma added from her station. Shield modifications are holding stable. Jack nodded, feeling a surge of pride. His team had done the impossible. They had taken the Confederation's trash and turned it into Earth's most advanced spacecraft. Message from Earth Command, Captain, called the communications officer. Admiral Wilson requests immediate contact. Moments later, the Admiral's face appeared on the main screen. His expression was grim. We have a situation, Captain. The mining operation at Proxima Station is under attack. Ravager pirates. At least 3 of their warships. Jack leaned forward. Casualties. Unknown, but they've sent an emergency distress signal. The Confederation patrol assigned to that sector has acknowledged, but they're estimating 7 hours until they can respond. Emma shook her head. The miners won't last 7 hours against Ravagers. Exactly, Admiral Wilson agreed. Phoenix is the only ship that can reach them in time. Jack understood what wasn't being said. This would be the Phoenix's first real test, not in controlled conditions, but in actual combat. We're ready, sir, he said confidently. Phoenix can reach Proxima in under 2 hours at maximum speed. The Admiral nodded. This is now a rescue mission. Save our people, Captain. And, he paused, let's see what your useless vessel can really do. The Phoenix tore through space faster than any Earth ship had traveled before. The hybrid propulsion system, part alien tech, part human innovation, pushed them to speeds that would have torn apart a normal vessel. Approaching Proxima Station, Tom announced, dropping to sublight in 3, 2, 1. The view on the main screen changed from streaking stars to a chaotic battle scene. 3 black, spike-covered ships surrounded a small mining station. The station's outer sections were already damaged, venting air and debris into space. Ravager ships confirmed, Emma reported. They're focused on the station. They haven't noticed us yet. Jack made a quick decision. Tom, bring us in from behind the largest Ravager vessel. Emma, power up weapons but don't target yet. Mac, how are the shields? From the engineering station, Mac gave a thumbs up. Ready for anything they throw at us, Captain. Communications, send a message to the station. Tell them help has arrived and to hold on. As the Phoenix moved closer, one of the Ravager ships finally noticed them. It broke away from the station and turned to face the newcomer. They're scanning us, reported the sensor officer, reading our ship profile. Jack smiled grimly. And what do they see? An old Confederation patrol vessel. Outdated. Minimal armaments. Perfect. Let them think we're easy prey. The Ravager ship accelerated toward them, weapons powering up. It was at least twice the size of the Phoenix, its black hull bristling with weapon ports. They're hailing us, said the communications officer. Audio only. Jack nodded. Put it through. A harsh, growling voice filled the bridge. Outdated patrol ship. You have entered Ravager hunting grounds. Surrender or be destroyed like the miners. This is Captain Jack Reynolds of Earth Vessel Phoenix. Jack replied calmly. We request that you cease your attack on the mining station and withdraw immediately. Laughter came over the channel. Earth Vessel. Even better. The humans send their weakest ship to die first. The transmission cut off. The Ravager ship fired its first volley, a barrage of energy weapons that would have crippled most vessels. Impact in 3 seconds, Emma warned. Shields holding steady. Jack waited until the last possible moment. Now, Emma, show them what Phoenix can really do. Emma's fingers danced across her console. The Phoenix seemed to absorb the energy from the Ravager attack. Then, using the modified systems Mac had designed, it channeled that energy back out through its own weapons. The focused beam struck the Ravager ship precisely where Emma had aimed, at the junction between its main body and its weapon arrays. The Ravager shields flared and failed under the unexpected power of the attack. Direct hit, Emma shouted, unable to hide her excitement. Their main weapons are offline. On the screen, the damaged Ravager ship veered away, trailing debris and venting atmosphere. The other 2 ships are breaking off from the station, Tom reported. They're moving to surround us. Jack remained calm. Tom, bring us between them and the station. Emma, prepare for multiple targets. Mac, I need everything you can give to the shields. The 2 remaining Ravager ships approached from different angles, clearly intending to catch Phoenix in a crossfire. They think we can only defend from one direction at a time, Jack observed. Let's prove them wrong. Jane, activate your hull modifications. Jane, who had been monitoring the ship's structural integrity, pressed a sequence on her console. Carbon mesh reinforcement activated, Captain. The Phoenix's skirt hull began to shimmer slightly as the carbon treatment Jane had developed spread across its surface. The aliens had given them a ship with a brittle hull, but human science had transformed it into something far stronger. Both Ravager ships fired simultaneously. Energy weapons and physical projectiles struck the Phoenix from multiple angles. The bridge shook, but not as violently as it should have. The reinforced hull absorbed much of the impact, while the modified shields deflected the rest. Minimal damage, Jane reported with satisfaction. Hull integrity at 92%. Our turn, Jack said. Emma, target their engines. Tom, bring us above their firing plane. The Phoenix moved with surprising agility for its size, climbing above the Ravager vessels. Emma fired the newly calibrated weapons in a precise pattern, not trying to destroy the pirates, but disable them. One Ravager ship lost propulsion, beginning to drift helplessly. The other suffered damage to its weapon systems, leaving it able to move but not fight effectively. "The first Ravager ship is retreating," Tom announced. "The other two are dead in space." A cheer went up from the bridge crew. Their first real battle, and Phoenix had performed beyond all expectations. "Message from Proxima Station, Captain," said the communications officer. "They're sending their thanks. Injuries but no fatalities among the miners." Jack nodded. "Tell them we'll stand by until repair crews arrive." He turned to his senior officers. "Well done, everyone." Phoenix passed her first test with flying colors. As the crew worked to assist the miners, a new signal appeared on their long-range sensors. "Confederation patrol vessels approaching," reported the sensor officer. "3 ships. They'll be here in 20 minutes. Jack exchanged looks with his team. This wasn't just about saving the miners anymore. This was the moment they would reveal what humans had done with the Confederation's useless gift. "Mac, make sure our power signatures appear normal. Emma, power down weapons but keep them ready. Let's give our Confederation friends a little surprise." 20 minutes later, 3 sleek, silver Confederation ships dropped out of faster-than-light travel near the mining station. Their commander, Captain Dex, was clearly shocked to find the situation already resolved, and even more shocked to see which ship had done it. "This is Captain Dex of Confederation Security. We received a distress call. What happened here?" Jack allowed himself a small smile before answering. "This is Captain Reynolds of Earth Vessel Phoenix. The situation is under control. Ravager attack repelled. Mining station secured." There was a long pause before Captain Dex responded. "The Phoenix. That's the outdated patrol vessel we gifted to Earth, correct?" "The very same," Jack confirmed. "We made a few modifications. Turns out she had some life in her yet." Another pause, longer this time. "Stand by for inspection, Earth vessel. Confederation protocols require assessment of any modifications to our technology." Jack's smile widened. "We look forward to it, Captain Dex. Phoenix standing by." As the transmission ended, Jack looked around at his proud crew. "And now," he said quietly, "the real test begins." News of the Phoenix's victory over the Ravager ships spread quickly through the stellar Confederation. What was meant to be a quiet rescue mission had become a political event. The old patrol vessel, given to humans as a diplomatic insult, had performed beyond all expectations. 1 week after the battle, Captain Jack Reynolds stood in Admiral Wilson's office on Earth, delivering his report in person. "Captain Dex inspected our ship for nearly 5 hours," Jack explained. "He was particularly interested in our shield modifications and the hull reinforcement." Admiral Wilson leaned back in his chair. "And what did you show him?" "Only what we wanted him to see," Jack replied with a small smile. "Jane created a special program that hid our more advanced modifications. As far as Dex knows, we simply repaired the original systems and made minor improvements." The Admiral nodded approvingly. "Good. Did he believe it?" Jack hesitated. "I don't think so, sir. He kept asking how we defeated 3 Ravager ships with such limited capabilities." "And your answer?" "I told him it was the skill of my crew, not the ship's technology." Jack's expression turned serious. "But I don't think that's the end of it." Before leaving, Dex mentioned that Lord Val would be very interested in our creative use of Confederation technology. Admiral Wilson frowned. "They're not happy that we turned their junk into something useful." "No, sir. I think they're worried about what else we might do if given access to their current technology." The Admiral was silent for a moment. Then he said, "We've received a formal communication from the Confederation High Council. They're inviting Earth to participate in what they call a joint military exercise. All member species will demonstrate their flagship capabilities." "It's not really an invitation, is it?" Jack asked. "No, it's a challenge." The Admiral handed Jack a datapad. "They want to see exactly what the Phoenix can do, and perhaps expose its limitations in front of the entire Confederation. Jack scanned the information on the pad. 3 trials: navigation, defense, and combat simulation. Lord Val himself will oversee the event, the Admiral added. He's arranged for Earth to go last in each trial, after all other participants have demonstrated their capabilities. So we'll have to follow the most advanced ships in the Confederation, Jack said slowly. They want to make us look bad by comparison. Admiral Wilson smiled thinly. That's their plan. What's yours, Captain? Jack looked up, determination in his eyes. We'll give them a show they won't forget, sir. 2 weeks later, the Phoenix orbited a gas giant in the Arcturus system, where the Confederation had set up their military exercise. Dozens of alien vessels surrounded them, each representing a different species from across the galaxy. On the Phoenix's bridge, Jack addressed his crew. This isn't just about proving our ship's capabilities. It's about showing the Confederation what humans can do. They still think we're flying a patched-up relic, Max said from his engineering station. Let them think that, Emma replied with a grin. The bigger their surprise when we show them what Phoenix can really do. A communication alert sounded. Incoming transmission from the Confederation command vessel, reported the communications officer. Lord Val's blue face appeared on the main screen. His 4 eyes blinked in sequence as he regarded the humans. Captain Reynolds, Earth's delegation, welcome to the Confederation Joint Military Exercise. His tone was polite but cold. As newcomers, you have been given the honor of observing all other demonstrations before presenting your own vessel's capabilities. We appreciate the opportunity to learn from more experienced species, Jack replied with equal politeness. Lord Val's upper eyes narrowed slightly. The first trial will begin in 1 hour. Navigation through the asteroid field surrounding the gas giant's third moon. Good luck with your modifications. The screen went dark. He didn't even try to hide his contempt, Jane observed. Jack shrugged. He doesn't need to. He thinks we're going to fail spectacularly. He turned to Tom at the navigation station. Are you ready for the asteroid field? Tom nodded confidently. The new navigation system is fully calibrated. We've run 100 simulations based on the field's parameters. Good, Jack said. Let's watch the others first and see what we're up against. The navigation trial was impressive. One by one, the Confederation's best ships maneuvered through the dense asteroid field, their movements precise and controlled. Most completed the course without incident, though a few suffered minor collisions with smaller rocks. When it was Phoenix's turn, Lord Val's voice came over the communication system. Earth Vessel Phoenix, you may begin when ready. We understand if you wish to plot a wider, safer course given your vessel's limitations. Jack exchanged looks with his crew. Tom, take us in. Show them what Phoenix can do. Tom's hands moved across his console, activating the hybrid navigation system he and Mac had developed. It combined the alien sensors with human predictive algorithms, creating something new and powerful. The Phoenix moved forward, approaching the asteroid field at high speed. Instead of slowing down like the other ships had done, it accelerated. What are they doing? Came a surprised voice over the open channel. The Phoenix darted between 2 massive asteroids, with barely a meter to spare on either side. It spun around a cluster of smaller rocks, using their gravitational pull to increase speed rather than fighting against it. Tom's face showed intense concentration as he guided the ship through the field. The hybrid navigation system predicted the movement of each asteroid seconds before they arrived, allowing for adjustments that seemed almost impossible. Halfway through the course, the Phoenix encountered a particularly dense cluster that had forced other ships to stop and carefully plot their path. Instead, Tom activated the special thrusters Emma had installed beneath the hull. The Phoenix rolled sideways, sliding through a gap that seemed too narrow, then righted itself in one smooth motion. Remarkable, someone whispered over the channel. 4 minutes later, the Phoenix emerged from the other side of the asteroid field. Its time was displayed on the shared monitors for all ships to see, nearly 2 minutes faster than the previous best. Silence filled the communication channels. Then Lord Val's voice, tighter than before. An interesting approach, Earth vessel. We will proceed to the defensive trial after a short break. As the transmission ended, the bridge crew of the Phoenix broke into grins and quiet congratulations. That was just the beginning, Jack told them. They're surprised, but not impressed yet. The defensive trial will be harder. Jane looked concerned. They'll target our weakest points. The original hull sections we haven't fully reinforced yet. Then we'll have to rely on Mac's shields, Jack said. Are they ready for a real test? Mac nodded confidently. The energy redistribution system is working perfectly. The more they hit us, the stronger our shields become. Good, Jack said, because I have a feeling they're about to hit us very hard indeed. Outside the Phoenix's viewports, the Confederation ships gathered for the next trial. More had arrived to watch after hearing about the surprising performance in the navigation test. Among them was Captain Dex's vessel, positioned close enough to observe every detail. Jack stared out at the assembled alien ships. They still think they're testing an old patrol vessel with a few repairs, he said quietly. By the end of today, they'll know what humans can really do with a useless gift. Emma checked her weapon systems one last time. I can't wait to see Lord Val's face when we complete all 3 trials. First, we have to survive them, Jack reminded her. Everyone to your stations. The real challenge is just beginning. The defensive trial was brutal. Each ship had to withstand a standardized weapons barrage from Confederation testing platforms. These platforms fired real weapons, but at reduced power, enough to test shields without destroying ships. Phoenix, take position in the testing zone. Lord Val's voice commanded over the communication system. Jack guided his ship to the center of the designated area. The testing platforms, 6 automated weapon stations, surrounded them in a hexagonal pattern. Your vessel will face the same barrage as all others, Lord Val explained. However, given your ship's original specifications, we can reduce the power level if you prefer. Jack heard the mockery in Lord Val's voice. He looked around at his crew, who nodded confidently. No adjustments needed, Jack replied calmly. Phoenix will take the standard test. There was a brief pause. Very well. Defensive trial commencing in 3, 2, 1. All 6 platforms fired simultaneously. Energy beams and projectiles slammed into the Phoenix from every direction. The ship shuddered under the impact. Hull integrity at 85%, Jane reported, monitoring the structural systems. Carbon reinforcement holding. Shields at 90% and stabilizing, Mac added from his station. Energy redistribution system is working. Each hit is actually strengthening our shields. On the main screen, Jack could see the Confederation observers. Many had expected the old vessel to crumble under the first volley. Instead, the Phoenix held firm. The second wave hit harder than the first. This time, the weapons targeted specific weak points in the original hull design. They're using the original schematics to find our vulnerabilities, Emma observed. Jack smiled. Too bad we don't have those vulnerabilities anymore. The ship absorbed the second barrage with minimal damage. Jane's carbon reinforcement spread across the hull, self-repairing minor breaches. Mac's shield system grew stronger with each hit, converting the energy of the attacks into additional protection. By the 6th and final wave, the Phoenix's shields were actually stronger than when the test began. Defensive trial complete, announced Lord Val, unable to hide the surprise in his voice. Phoenix has survived all barrages with integrity above acceptable levels. Cheers erupted on the Phoenix's bridge. They had passed the second trial with flying colors. Lord Val's face appeared on the main screen again. We will proceed to the final trial. Combat simulation. His 4 eyes narrowed. For this exercise, each vessel will face a simulated battle against a Confederation combat ship. Jack noticed something in Lord Val's expression. What kind of simulation are we talking about? The weapons will be real, but set to minimum power, Lord Val explained. Battle computers will calculate theoretical damage. When a ship receives what would be considered fatal damage, The simulation ends. And who will Phoenix be facing? Jack asked. Lord Val's mouth curled into what might have been a smile. To provide an adequate challenge for your unique vessel, you will face 3 Confederation ships simultaneously. Murmurs of surprise came from the other participants. No other ship had been asked to face more than one opponent. Is that a problem, Captain Reynolds? Lord Val asked innocently. Jack kept his expression neutral. No problem at all. When do we begin? 30 minutes later, the Phoenix faced 3 Confederation warships in open space. Each was newer, faster, and supposedly more advanced than the old patrol vessel. This isn't fair, James said quietly on the bridge. They've changed the rules just for us. That's because they're afraid, Jack replied. They've seen what we did in the first 2 trials. Now they want to make sure we fail the third. What's the plan, Captain? Emma asked from the weapons station. Jack studied the 3 Confederation ships on the main screen. They expect us to be defensive, to try to survive as long as possible against superior numbers. He smiled. So instead, we'll attack. He turned to Tom. Plot an intercept course that puts us between those 3 ships. Make it look like we're trying to keep them all in our forward-firing arc. Next, he looked at Mac. Prepare to activate your Phantom Power signature program. I want them to see multiple versions of Phoenix. Ready when you are, Captain, Mac replied. Finally, Jack turned to Emma. When I give the word, target their communication arrays, not their weapons or engines. We'll cut them off from each other first. Combat simulation commencing in 3, 2, 1. Lord Val's voice announced. The 3 Confederation ships moved into attack formation, spreading out to surround the Phoenix. Now, Tom, Jack ordered. The Phoenix surged forward, accelerating directly toward the lead Confederation ship. Its sudden aggressive move caught the alien vessel by surprise. Phantom program activated, Mac reported. Instantly, the Phoenix's power signature multiplied and scattered. To the Confederation sensors, it appeared as if the ship was in several places at once. They're confused, Emma said, watching the enemy ships adjust their positions. Their targeting systems can't lock onto us. Fire at their communication arrays, Jack commanded. Emma's fingers danced across her console. The Phoenix fired precise, targeted shots at each Confederation ship, not powerful enough to cause major damage, but perfectly aimed to disrupt their ability to coordinate. Direct hits on all 3 targets, Emma reported. Their communications are scrambled. Without the ability to coordinate, the 3 Confederation ships began to interfere with each other's attack plans. One fired at what it thought was the Phoenix, only to miss entirely as the Phantom's signature shifted. They're shooting at ghosts, Tom said with a laugh. Jack watched as the Confederation ships tried to regroup. Now, Emma, target their propulsion systems, low power, precision hits. The Phoenix danced between the 3 larger ships, firing quick, accurate bursts at their engines. The simulation counted each hit as significant damage due to the precision of the targeting. Within 5 minutes, the battle computers declared 1 Confederation ship disabled. 2 minutes later, a second ship suffered the same fate. The third ship, commanded by Captain Dex, proved more adaptable. It adjusted its sensors to ignore the Phantom signatures and focus on the Phoenix's true position. They've locked onto us, Emma warned. Evasive maneuvers, Jack ordered. Jane, activate the hull polarization. The Phoenix rolled and twisted, avoiding most of Dex's attacks. The few hits that landed were absorbed by Jane's specially treated hull sections, which changed their molecular structure to disperse the energy. One more good shot, and we can end this, Jack said, studying Dex's ship on the screen. Emma nodded. I see a weakness in their shield configuration. If we hit them here, she highlighted a spot on the display. We can overload their entire defense grid. Do it, Jack ordered. The Phoenix made one final attack run. Dex's ship fired everything it had, scoring several hits on the Earth vessel. Damage reports flashed across Jane's console, But the Phoenix held together. Emma's shot struck exactly where she had aimed. The simulation calculated the result. Catastrophic shield failure across Dex's entire ship. "Simulation complete," announced an automated voice. "Confederation vessels disabled. Phoenix victorious." Silence filled all communication channels. No one had expected this outcome. No one except the crew of the Phoenix. 2 days later, Admiral Wilson stood before the Confederation High Council. Lord Val sat among them, his 4 eyes carefully avoiding direct contact with the human admiral. "The performance of your vessel was unexpected," the council leader admitted. "It seems we underestimated human adaptability." Admiral Wilson nodded. "The Phoenix is a testament to what humans do best. We take what's available and make it better. The question now," the council leader continued, "is what this means for Earth's relationship with the Confederation." Admiral Wilson smiled. "I propose a new kind of partnership, one based on mutual respect, not charity or condescension. Earth will share our innovations if the Confederation will share its technology as equals." The council members looked at each other. Finally, Lord Val spoke. "I was wrong about humans." The admission clearly pained him. "You did not merely repair the vessel we gave you. You reimagined it. That's what humans do." Admiral Wilson replied, "We see potential where others see limitations." 1 month later, Captain Jack Reynolds stood on the Phoenix's bridge, watching as mixed crews of humans and aliens worked together on a fleet of ships. Some were former outdated vessels, now being retrofitted with hybrid human-alien technology. Others were brand new designs, combining the best of both worlds. Jane joined him at the viewport. "The Confederation engineers still can't believe what we did with carbon reinforcement. They've been studying it for weeks. And I heard the weapons specialists are fighting over who gets to work with Emma on the targeting systems," Jack added with a smile. Jane looked out at the bustling activity. "They handed us a useless vessel, and we made it invincible," Jack finished. "More importantly, we showed them that no technology is truly useless in the right hands." As the Phoenix prepared to lead the new fleet on its first mission, Jack couldn't help but feel proud. What had started as an insult had become the foundation for something greater than anyone could have imagined. The humans had proven themselves not by rejecting the gift, but by transforming it, just as they would transform their place in the galaxy. The end.